Hey guys, welcome. So I got caption on. Let's get this thing shared. All right, so welcome to week 6, module 6. So this week, there's no actual live class. So this is a recorded class. And so what we're gonna do this week is just give you a brief overview of what we're gonna go through. So module 6 is summaries and subqueries. So the module overview for this week is we'll learn about how to do, we'll describe differences with having and where clauses. We'll understand with rollup. What is a roll option? We'll talk about aggregate, grouping, conditional statements. We talked about some of this a little bit at this point, but now we're getting into a greater detail of this. Okay, and so this will help out in our upcoming chapters. Next week, we'll get into creating a database. We'll learn how in class. So next week when we're in class, we'll learn how to design a database from the ground up using a diagram design. So this will help us get to that next point. Learning resources, review the slides, excuse me, learning activities. We have a quiz this week, as usual. Summary, we know how that is. Quiz, same thing as typical. Module 6. This module 6, you're going to write your own DDL, which will be 3 table creations to a database that you've created several modules ago in the discussion. So I'll walk you through how that works. Actually, you know what? We're going to actually, now I look at this, we're going to cross this out because we haven't got to this point yet, because we're going to create an EER diagram next week. So module 6 is, I'll change it up. It'll actually be something in regards to, let's see, subqueries and queries. You'll still have to provide a YouTube video, but it will not be DDL or ER diagram. We won't learn that until next week. All right, so forget about that. Mod 6. Page 228 to 229, questions 1 through 6. So you'll save your file as a .SQL file and you'll upload that. Okay. Let's see here. What else? We have a quiz and then our summary that we're going to go through. So let's get started, and let's increase this a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about how to code summary queries. So we'll talk about summary queries. We'll describe the differences between having a clause and a where clause. We'll talk about the roll-up operator, like I mentioned, the grouping, and conditional statements. All right. Aggregate functions, we'll talk about average. So what's average? So let's do this. Let's create a doc here. I could kind of type one and bring up some notes here. So we'll call this Mod 6 database notes. Okay. And so some of our, in this case right here, we're going to use different aggregate functions. So, oops. So what is a function basically? So that's the first thing. What is a function? So what do you think a database function is? Or even a function in general? What is its purpose? So ultimately, a function is, sorry, it's, I'm trying to think of a good way of putting it. It performs a calculation or a quicker and more efficient method of performing something with a function. That's kind of stupid when you say. It's kind of silly. trying to think of a good word. So we know what a database is. Data benefits that functions will be easily can be it can be accessed from multiple locations. So, for example, if I wanted to do a count of all records in a table. So, for example, let's say that I did select all from ap.terms. Okay. So I run this query right here. I have 4 records. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, if I want to do a count of that or a summary of that, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's 10, 30, 60, 120, 120 plus 210, etc. And you keep going on. Oh, yeah, I could do that. It's eyeballing it. But with a function, I could just write some code and just say, hey, you know what? Tell me what the summary of that is by saying, here's my function. What's the field that you want to grab? I'll grab this one right here. And now if I run it, it gives me a value of 330 right off the bat. So that's what a function does. It provides a quicker, more efficient way of getting something done in a nutshell. So there's different functions. So we'll talk about, and we talked a little bit about count and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and create a new SQL environment. Kind of get started here. So this one right here will be a count query. Okay. So what is a count query? We could say select counts everything. Let's start off with this, select count from everything. Oops. From invoices, and just do that. Select all your invoices. But before we do that, let's do this. Select all from invoices and see what we have here. So let's do this. Name our database, AP, perfect. All right, so we see here that we have X amount of invoices. So we have a lot of invoices, okay? So, so if we do this and run this right here, it says that we have 117 invoices, which is a lot, right? Now let's say that we wanted to add some of these invoices up. So for example, we have invoice total, we have payment total, invoice total, payment total, and credit total. So it looks like credit total is 0 here. Some of them are, some aren't. So let's write some code that gives us a count of stuff, okay? So what we could do here, first query, we could do select counts everything as, and give it a name. We'll say number invoices, okay? And what we'll do here is we'll do a summary. We'll say sum invoice total minus payment total. Okay. And we'll say as total due. And then we put them from where? Our invoices table. Let's just do this right here and see what we get. So if we run this here, we have number of voices, and now we have our total of $52,540. But now let's say we want to get specific. We'll say we're at invoice total minus payment total is less than 3,300. Now, is that a sum? I don't know. We'll see. So now if we query it, uses account, and now we have 113 invoices that are less than 3,300. But now if we say, give me everything, it's, oops, what the hell? So if we did everything that's greater than 3,300, then we could do this. We could do greater or equal 3,300. And then we'll have 4. So you get what I'm saying. So that's how you would do a count. we could do a summary query with count, average, and sum all together. So let's see here. We can do, so we'll name this right here. We'll call this our count query. And then what we're going to do here, this will be a summary query, excuse me, with counts, average, and sum. But before we get to that, let's show you what a sum is first. So let me find a table that I could use for summary. We have invoices, we get vendors that won't work. Some invoices we could do payment total. So, so select all from invoices real quick. And let's see what that does. And then we get to come up with something. All right, so invoice total, payment total. So let's do this right here. If we do sum invoice total, that's everything right there. It'll give us a number. We query it. Now you see our numbers at what, 23,176 at $231,176.68. So that is your sum. Let's say we want to do an average. And this is your average. And we could do a count like we did. We could do this right here. All right, so now if I do average right here, run it. This is our average bill is $19.75. We did a count. It's going to count all the invoices. 117. Now you could do specific or you could do all, which will give you the same total of 117. Okay, so now we're going to do that query that we talked about. So we're going to say select. We're going to put a new thing in here. We'll say after January 1st, 2018. Excuse me. And then, so we select, and we're creating a column, and we're given a static text right off the bat. We'll say as date selection, okay? All right, then we're gonna, allergies are bad today. Sorry, I'm sneezing. All right, now we're gonna do a count. Oh man. Counts everything as, and we'll call it number of invoices. And then we're gonna do a average, but we're gonna round it up. We're gonna use the word round, which rounds it to the nearest tenth, whatever, average. So let's do this average, and then we'll do invoice total. And then we'll do comma 2 because we want it to be 2 decimals over as average invoice amount. Okay. And then we're going to do a summary of what? We're going to sum invoice total. That's how I did that. Yeah, same thing. There's our invoice total as total invoice amount. If I can spell. From invoices. Okay. And where, and oops, there we go. Invoice date is greater than 2018-01-01. Okay. So now we query this. Look at that. We have this that we created, 117 average invoices 1975, and the total invoice is that. And we got that from the totals that we ran up here, because when we ran it manually each one. But now we wrote this big query that does everything for us. Okay, so that is how you do all those guys together. We talked about min and max, and I told you how to find certain values. So min is the minimum value, max is the highest value. And that'll help later on when you create stored procedures and stuff like that. So let's see if we could create a different table. So let's do this. All right, so this, and this query right here, I'm not going to post anywhere. I'll let you guys go through this exercise so that you can do it yourself. So let's do select all from general ledger accounts. See what we have here. Oh, excuse me. All right, it's general ledger accounts. So we have this right here. Trying to think. Oh yeah, we could do this. All right. So let's see what our largest. If we wanted to see what our minimum number is, we could do min. We could do account. I think it's account number here. Can't tell. Yeah, account number. So we'll do account number like that. It'll tell us what our lowest number is. So if we run this, maybe. There we go. Our lowest number is 100. And then if we do a max right here, it'll tell us our highest number. And our highest number is 632. Okay. Now, can we validate it? Yes. Well, what we could do is we could say select account number from general ledger accounts. And we could do group by account number right there. And then we could do order by, put below it, order by account number. And what we'll do is we'll start ascending order. So it tells us everything from the highest to the lowest, or lowest to the highest, I'm sorry. So now we do this, and it starts off at 100. So that's our lowest. And it goes all the way to descending order, which would be our highest, which is 632. And what did we say the max was? 632. So that is how you validate it. Okay. So in this case, if we wanted to write it as one big query, we can say select, and we don't need to put after date. We'll just put count everything as number of invoices. And then we could say select the max, max invoice total as highest invoice total. And then we can say give us the minimum invoice total as minimum invoice total. From invoices, or invoices date is greater than 2018-01-01, like we did up there. Okay. All right, what did I do? Oh, I need to have another column here. So let's do this. We'll give it a text column. So if I did this and say as date selection like I did above, it should allow us to query it. All right, maybe not. Let's copy row and see what it's telling me is going wrong. I don't care about that. Oh my God. See what the problem is? I forgot to put a comma after this. Jesus. All right. No, it does still pull it up. Select, I don't need this here. Count total invoices. Invoices date is greater than 20. Let's do this. Let's query this part right here as if this works. All right, so that works right there, which tells me that where invoices date is greater than 2018-01. It tells me it doesn't like that right there. Invoices date doesn't exist. Invoice, I used plural instead of singular. Now it should work fine. There we go. It takes some time, guys. It takes time. All right, we're at 21 minutes in this video. All right, moving on. What else can I show you? Summary query from non-numeric columns. All right, so let's do this here. So summary, query for non-numeric columns. Okay, so we can just select the minimum vendor name. Well, let's do this first. Select all from vendors to see what type of data we're working with first. Okay, let's see here. There we go. So we're working with lots of data. So what we can do, let's speed that up, come up here. We could say select the minimum vendor name as first vendor. And let's just start right there and see what happens from vendors. Okay. So we run it, and it gives us this one. Why does it give us that one for? Okay. Because it's grabbing, like if we did order by vendor name, ascending order, it's going to give us by alphabet. Okay. So American Express is first. And who do we have here? Abby. I don't know why Abby doesn't pop up on her. You know what? Let's do this right here. Let's do first vendor. That's probably why. And then if I do group by first vendor, let's run it now. Abby should be there, maybe. All right, why is that doing that? All right, I'm messing up somewhere. Oh, because vendor name. Oh, because I named it that. All right. Now that'll work. All right, American Express. Why is he not showing Abby on here? Oops. What the hell? No one else. Huh. That is so weird. Oh, there it is. I wasn't. Mouse is acting weird. All right, so that is why. What the hell is going on with my mouse? Mouse is acting really weird. All right. All right. Anyways, so now we see that's why that works like that way. My mouse is going real slow for some reason. All right, so All right, I apologize. This is weird. All right, so we'll do select min vendor name as first vendor, and then we will do our max member as last vendor. So that's going to be the last one in alphabet. And then we'll do a count. We can do vendor name as number of vendors. And, whoops, from vendors. All right. So now if we, wow, that is really weird. I got to fix that. Because it's going to drive me. Minimum course photo. All right, what did I do here? Oh, forgot to add a comma. There we go. All right, this mouse, I'm going to throw out the window in about 10 seconds here. No, it's working fine. To a degree. All right. Okay, so there's that. All right, what else we have here? Group and having. All right, so this will be good. Having and group. Having is when you do having, you do some type of values, something like that. So let's see. What else do we have left? All right, so many things to go over, but I'm just going to go over the basics for now. One second, guys. All right. There we go. So let's talk about, I ain't gonna say that. Talk about group and having. All right, so we'll say groups and having. So when do you use a having clause? You use it after, when you're using a group by, but you have to use it afterwards. And usually a having is you're doing some type of calculation, like if something's greater than something or if it equals something. So in this case right here, it's say select vendor ID, and then we will round, do round. And what are we going to round here? We're going to do the average invoice total and then comma 2 as average invoice amount. Okay. And then we have to query from somewhere. So we'll say from invoices, and then we're going to group by the vendor ID because we have to group by what we're querying on. So if we had all right here, we couldn't group on that because it has to be something like an actual name. All right, perfect. Now we're going to use the having. We'll say having the average invoice total is greater than 2,000. That's what we could use the having for. And then we could say order by the average, I don't know. Let me think here. Order by, we'll say average, what do we call it? We could group by this right here. So we'll copy this and query off of that. So let's query and see if it works. Guess what? It didn't work. So I must have messed up somewhere. So let me copy this row, see what I messed up on. Check my SQL Server version, right syntax to use near 2. All right, what did I do there? Oh, I see what. So I have it like this. It's supposed to be like that, then comma 2. Let's see if that works. Syntax is off. All right, perfect, it works. Provides our vendor and our average invoice. And that is how you do the group and having there. And you're grouping it by the vendor ID, so it's more unique. All right, what else can I show you this week? All right, so we did the groups. Summary query with, well, we could do a join too. This might be a good one. We could do a summary query with a join table. So let's do this one as a good one. So summary table with a join. So we want to use invoices and we want to join on vendor. So let's do this. Select all from vendors. Select all from invoices and see what our magic number is, our magic key. So invoices, we have vendor ID. Perfect. So that's what we need to do. And vendors, we have vendor ID. So we're going to join on vendor ID. Okay. So we could do select, and let's do this first. From invoices, and I'll just say I. And then I'll do join, and we'll join vendors, and I'll put V. And then I'll say on invoice.vendor ID equals vendors v.vendor ID. Okay. So now I can come up with my select statement up here and say vendor state, vendor city. I say count everything as invoice quantity. We could say round the average invoice total, comma 2 this time, as invoice average. And from invoices, I join on that. And now we need to do a group by. So we'll say group by, vendor state, and vendor city. And then we need an order by too. And what I'll do here is I'll copy this. I need to get rid of that comment at the end or it won't work. Perfect. All right, there we go. So now if we query this, there we go. See, we have a nice pretty thing. Our vendor states, city, invoice, and average amount. So this is pretty good right here. This is very good. All right, what else can we go over? Let me see if there's anything else. Just looking at my notes. All of this is pretty much the same stuff, just different data. This is something that we didn't talk about. All right, let's go over this one. We don't have to get real technical with it. So we're going to use an in clause, and we haven't talked about in clauses really. So we'll say select vendors. Oops. Let's do this first. If you do the state or the table, it makes it easier. We'll say select from the vendors. All right. And then we'll say select everything. Well, let's do this. Select vendor state. We'll do vendor city. Count everything as quantity vendors. All right. And then we'll say where vendor state. All right. Now here is the kicker. Let's say I want to do vendor state in Iowa, New Jersey. Well, I could say this where it equals Iowa. And then I could say and vendor state equals New Jersey. Okay. And then I'm going to show you two ways. Group by vendor state, vendor city, and let's just keep it like this. We're going to change some stuff around here in a second. So let's do this right here. Let's so. All right, so that right there, we did a count as quantity vendors, but we didn't actually count it. It's fine. Now it didn't work because we're saying, give me this and that. So let's take this out real quick. Oops. Take that out. Well, let's just do this right here. You get data, right? Because it does have Iowa, Washington. But when we use that and clause, it didn't like it. Now, if we do New Jersey, do we have data from New Jersey? We do, New Jersey, Washington. Why didn't it work? Because we didn't use it right. So this is where we need to use an in statement. We could say in, so you do this, and then you do tick your states, comma, and then New Jersey, comma, or I mean tick. Now, we should get both, and we should get our counts, just like we talked about. So if we do this right here, it now provides us Iowa and Jersey and provides us counts of all those people. Now, we could do, let's see, what else can we do here? We can use the rollup function. So what is the rollup function is, it's a statement that uses a group by clause, and it provides this sum function to find a total inventory warehouse. So what we could do here is, we have vendor city, we could do, you do the roll up at the end of the group by. So we'll say with roll up, so there's no values that you're passing in, no parameters, and run it. And then we go here, and what it does is, if it finds a city that, it's kind of like your left join. If it finds a city that has records, which it does, which is Iowa, but it just means that there's, that city doesn't have a specific city tied to it. Okay, so that's with roll up. But if, so like Iowa, we had 2, we have 4, but if we didn't do the with roll up, we should only have, what, 2 there? Instead of 4? See, we have 2, but since we did the with roll up, it provides everything for us. It pulls everything up. Like I said, it's kind of similar to the left join where you see all your values. So now this is giving us and saying, hey, you know what? This is also a good validation. We can say, hey, we have to go back and check our code, our data, because we have a city in Iowa that has 2 quantity vendors, and we don't even know what city that is. So that is part of your roll up, and then using the in clause. What else? I think I'm pretty sure I got everything that we need to really go for this week. Look at my code. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let me see what. Let me check something real quick. Module 6. We have to talk about subqueries as well. All right, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna end this video, okay? Because now we're gonna get into subqueries, and subqueries is a little bit more, and it takes up more time, so I don't want to mess it up. So we're gonna stop this video, and this will be the end of summaries, which is a 40-minute video. Thanks for watching, guys. I look for feedback. Bye.